Hello and welcome to the third and final episode of On the Ball, the vidcast that takes a look at the problems plaguing Indian football and discusses how to correct them. My name is Gautam Vishwanathan, and in this episode I take a look at what's being done at grassroots levels in an attempt to revamp the game. What we've seen so far is that the reason for the lack of development in Indian football is due to the lack of investment in the sport, which in turn stems from the attitude the All India Football Federation has towards the game. The dominance of cricket as a sport and the lack of awareness about the presence of football in India also contribute to this. But that is changing. In recent years, clubs such as Bayern Munich and Barcelona have expressed interests in opening youth academies in India. This is due to the interest shown by the current generation towards football. The German club have also come twice to India to play against the Indian national football team. But few clubs in the world do football as well as Arsenal FC. A month ago, while I was in Muscat in the Sultanate of Oman, I was able to interview Arsenal soccer school coach Luis Miguel Gorgulho.
If you look at, for example, if we take India, for example, obviously we know they love cricket. Cricket is a major sport. Wherever there's a major sport, a sport that actually dominates like a generation's kind of physical activity. So if they're mainly going to be taking part in cricket, it goes without saying that there's not going to be much opportunity for football. There's not going to be many soccer schools because it's just everything's going to be cricket. It's going to be monopolised by cricket. So by providing kids with an opportunity who normally wouldn't have that opportunity to play football, already you've made a step forward. So if you went into an area and let's say there were no football academies, you suddenly provided 20, then obviously you're going to get loads of kids thinking, well actually I've never had the chance to do this, let me go and play it. And it doesn't matter if cricket is the number one sport, everyone's heard of football. That's a fact. It doesn't matter what country you go to, everyone has. So everyone's going to have some sort of interest in it. But if they don't have the opportunity to go and play it in a structured environment, then obviously a sport like cricket will dominate. I do think if players like in Goa, for example, where there's obviously the Portuguese influence from the European perspective of things, they've got 4 or 5 teams that are in the Premier League now in India, and they're doing well. So maybe years and years ago that wasn't the case. Now all of a sudden it's beginning to grow. So hopefully that will spread. There are obviously clubs outside of Goa, but hopefully that will continue to spread. And I think the Indian League has grown a hell of a lot. The Indian Football League has grown. I have a friend there actually at Prayag United.
Right,
yeah. He's the head coach there.
All right.
But yes, so it's just giving opportunities, that's all it is. So vice versa, if you go to Portugal where they don't play cricket, if you then provide 20 cricket academies, more people are going to play. It's just it's a case of opportunity rather than anything else. The Premier League is huge. It's just it is probably the biggest league in the world. So having those names linked or having those football names in your country naturally just draws attention. So the media will come and obviously television, newspapers, magazines are going to come, they're going to have a look at what you're doing. So automatically, because it's a Premier League team in, let's say, Thailand or Oman or wherever, it just creates an atmosphere. And obviously, because our coaches are fully qualified coaches, they're going to bring a higher level of coaching. That's not to say that there aren't coaches anywhere else that can't do the job, but the experience we bring with us from Europe, which is probably the hotbed of European coaching, of world coaching and world football, that obviously is going to enhance any kind of football environment in let's say, a less developed country. I think if you're looking in terms of producing players, that's an obvious. You have to have a youth academy where players are there regularly, practicing regularly, whether it be 16 hours a week, 20 hours a week, they need to be there on a regular basis. That's important, but I think also what the clubs are giving back to the community, because obviously clubs are sustained by the fans or the loyal fans that keep going to the matches. Now, generally speaking, these are guys that are from a working class background, which is where the majority of footballers actually come from. So it's only giving back to the community and keeping that bond, and I think a youth academy needs to be in place for that as well, because if there's not that draw for a youngster, then they're likely to go and support another club where they feel they have a chance of getting into an academy.
India is the world's most populous nation, which in turn automatically translates into a vast potential talent pool. Private companies in India are opening youth academies in an attempt to identify and harness this talent. With coaching facilities in cricket, badminton, hockey and football, The Accelerate Academy in Bangalore is one such example. I went to their training base on the outskirts of the city to find out more.
Basically, you take the outdoor sports indoor, in terms of format. So we wanted this to be more accessible to people, by large. So for example, now today you would want to cooperate, typical schedule is in the evening the bachelors are free, right? You would want them to come into and play something, right? So and then indoors the answer. Because today you don't have the parks outside, so it's the best. So it sort of fit in well with, catering to a mass of people who are who like sport, who are passionate about sport, need not necessarily be professional, but also get to enjoy the sport. That's where this concept came from. So you might not have a big ground, a big football ground or a cricket ground, but you have people coming in with this setting and having a good time. So that was where the concept came from. A very popular concept in Europe, in Australia, in many of the Asian countries. And in terms of having such a big infrastructure in India, we are the pioneers. So it's something to be proud of, that we have so many people coming into play sport. It's a need of, I would say, every parent that the children get into some sport, need not be necessarily professional in future. Sport, as today many schools include in the curriculum themselves, right? So sport is very holistic, it is something which everyone needs to do at whatever level. So for us, obviously, we have a good infrastructure here, we have a good catchment, a lot of residential, population here. And we ourselves have good footballers, good cricketers, and we are known as a place where sports thrive, So it's very good for the children, and we just thought an extension of that would be to get into coaching. So we are obviously this camp that we are doing is for beginners, and we are going to branch into intermediate and professional. So in Accelerate, obviously we have it. We have swimming, we have tennis. So our plan is that every sport that we have, you allow children to come and blossom. In a way, you give back to the community in terms of. We would say in terms of giving them healthy recreation, entertainment, and so we firmly believe in the concept of body, mind, spirit, and we are very cognizant of the fact that this is a place where people come for health, fitness, and which is why we've absolutely kept alcohol out of this place, because so it's not about just not having alcohol. We do not have alcohol branding and anything to do with that, because right from the age of 5 or 6 we have children coming in. And we do not want, a different impression to come in their mind, right? So that's the only, intention that we have. So in a sense, we are giving back to the community because, to give a simple example, we have a Friday fortnightly tournament where we have, people from the ages of say 15 to 25. But typically on a Friday night, they could be anywhere in Bangalore, maybe in a pub, maybe enjoying somewhere, but we actually have 30 teams, which is about 150-200 people coming on a Friday night to play sport, and I think that's the best way to give back to the community, where you're engaging the people in a very, very healthy pursuit, and which obviously once you are healthy, you have a good body, mind, health, spirit, the output that you give to society itself is going to be very good.
Given the young age at which kids traditionally join youth academies, head coach Tahir Ali Khan says that it is important to instill them with a sense of fun before teaching them the technical aspects of the game.
Individual attention will give, one-on-one contact, gives more, personal attention, where it vice versa. Again, I'm sorry to use cricket again and again because that's the most popular sport.
That's all right. That's all right.
Okay, where in cricket you can have around 20 kids, they know what is cricket all about. Okay, now if I just go and tell a kid, you have to shoot the ball, sideways and with your laces, kids will not understand if you're talking in a group. Personally, individually, if I go and teach them what is shooting with your laces, what is you're shooting sideways, it's all you're required right now because they don't know about it. So that's how the personal attention is one, good for the kid. It's good for the coach also. What he is want to communicate goes exactly. It's the same thing. After studying in school, why one-on-one tuition just before the examination?
See, at this level, kids will be really bored to do the exercise or fitness. As soon as I see the game, I want to play. I want to play the game. Before even I warm up, I get into the court, I take the ball, and I form 11-a-side. Here you can play 5-a-side, and I want to form a team, and then I play immediately. I don't want to do the warm up. That is what the kids are saying nowadays. So, but this is very much important, this atmosphere that to do the warm-up, to do the exercise before they get into the game. That is very much important.
See, the thing is, as you know very well, okay, the coaching classes right now, what we're having for football and all, we are taking it from basic, okay, and as we are talking about, in start, okay, why football, okay, why do you want to play football, okay, if you want them to play football, come back again and again, okay, you have to make them engage about, playing football, okay, let them know what is there to play football. And if you just talk about we're talking about just doing an orthodox Indian culture where the people you just stand in one place and just say go for 8 rounds, 10 rounds and all the stuff, where kids don't want to come back. You got my point? Where playing indoors football is more physically tiring than playing 11-a-side. As Cedric very well mentioned, okay, when you even play cricket outdoor, okay, yes, sometimes the ball won't even come the entire match to you, right? But the same way, when you're playing 11-a-side ground, you will have time to even rest, maybe for 30 seconds, maybe for a minute. But in indoors, we play 5-a-side in this field. There's a 30 meters by 2.5 meters ground, right? There, for 8 people running around, you have to run for every second.
Yeah.
You can't, sit down. So one, you get your fitness there itself. There is a different form of fitness is what you do. Yeah. You got my point? It's not necessary that, yes, to play any kind of a game, stretching is important. Okay. We do the stretching and all the stuff. But physically, your fitness, your endurance, all the stuff, okay, the game will give it to you.
Okay. Fine.
Okay. There's the new forms of fitness what we play with we do with the kids. Okay, we play a game of a rugby kind of a stuff. We just do, just take the ball, run around. You want them to run, right? You can run that way. It's not necessary that you tell them to go run 8 rounds in the ground. That's not fun. So the thing is, for us, basically we want to make it fun with the game.
First is, of course, the fitness is very much important, the stamina is very much important. And more than that, so that is advanced level you are talking about. They know the technical stuff in the head, the knowledge about the football, they know, and it is more easy. It's not only people say that it is a physical game, of course it's a physical contact game, but however it is, if they have the technical knowledge of football, and it is very easy for them to play. Maybe trapping or tapping the ball or receiving the ball or passing. All the aspect, they know the technical. As soon as you receive the ball, how your body should react to that the situation. That is more important. So that technicality stuff that as they experience the game. Of course, we can teach the technicality of the football, but if it is there in the blood, you got the game.
On the other side of Bangalore, the SPT Academy operates a full-fledged outdoor facility. They organize coaching classes for 4 different age groups, ranging from the under-7s to the under-14 categories. UEFA certified trainer Javier Cabrera is the academy's head coach.
Our methodology in SPT Sports is the Spanish methodology. And this is focused on the specific training. Okay, and then we organize a circuit, okay, with, for example, 3 different drills. Then they can improve, for example, one drill is about passing and control, technical skills. Another drill, for example, is about one small-sided game, position drill. And another one, for example, shooting drill. Then we make small groups of players. Then they make their rotation. They rotate for any drill. For example, 20 minutes on each drill. Okay, then at the end of the coaching session, these guys have improved or have trained their passing and control. They know how to play a small-sided game, and they have improved their shooting. Okay. After this, also, so we do this warm-up. First warm-up, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, something like that, warm-up games. Then 10 minutes for stretching and water break. Then 45 minutes or 1 hour for specific training. and finally 25 minutes, 20 minutes of a match.
Okay.
No, never free match. We play with different conditions.
Okay.
Okay, so we apply the progression of the specific training.
Okay.
For example, the guys cannot use more than 3 touches per player. Okay, or no more than 2 touches per player. Or they have to play only 1 touch per touch.
Okay. Sure.
Level between the Spanish kids and Indian kids very different. Okay, here there is talent. Okay, and if these guys or these kids keep training with high-level coaches, they can improve. They can improve fast. Okay, but right now the level is okay. It's not brilliant.
Okay.
But they can improve fast.
Okay. So, at what age do kids begin training here in comparison to Spain?
In Spain, you start training with 5 years old, 4, 5, 6 years old. And here, most of the kids are 13, 14 years old. We have also many small guys, like 6 years old, 7 years old. But most of the people is 13, 12, 13, 14. This is so big. This is very big gap. Okay, because when you learn to play football, it's maybe from 8 years old to 12. That space is very, very important. Okay. Maybe from 9 to 12. Okay. So if you start playing at 13, 14, you have to recover so many things.
This growing interest in football aside, one of the reasons parents are sending their children to academies like this is because of a change in the country's attitude towards sport.
I will definitely encourage him to take up that, but I will also encourage him to study up to a bit till wherever he possibly can, because learning is also a foundation, right? So I will definitely encourage him. And in fact, a friend of mine was asking, would you go all the way? How much committed are you? That if he says, Appa, I want to be a footballer, I want to go to this school, probably he will find out a school. I will definitely do my best to put him there.
This change in sporting culture has only begun recently. State-certified cricket coach Amit Subir Nadi explains more.
Fitness is the main thing, the backbone of any sport is fitness. That way, if you can connect it to your personal life, if fitness is the core value of your personal life, only then a sporting culture can come in. Okay. Because with academics, there's more emphasis on mental strength. Of course, that's important, but ultimately physical fitness is also as important as the mental side of it. And sport is one thing which nurtures both physical and mental. So if you want to develop, if you want to have all-round development, it's always sport. So we need to realize that.
Growing up, was there as much emphasis on this detailed sort of coaching that you did today?
There was emphasis, but it wasn't very widespread. It was not like everyone was fortunate enough to get that attention. So there were very few coaches who were really good, and you needed to be really fortunate to get their attention. But nowadays, everyone knows the basics of coaching, so they know what to say and what not to say. So now it's more professional, and these days it's. I guess the access to a good coach is, better than what it was before. See, one thing, employment is definitely, one of the big issues in India, especially where there's a surplus population, right? So employment is an issue, and especially from people who are coming from middle-class families, lower middle class, for them employment is the #1 priority. Any day, employment is #1 priority. So we need to ensure that sportsmen have enough number of jobs so that more people take to sports. Even if it's a corporate, they can always concentrate on sports. We have seen many corporates getting into the IPL, right? So corporates can have their own teams, even in the local league levels. So that way they can generate more employment, right? They can have, sport. What can you call them? In corporates, who can, build in that corporate culture, sports culture in corporates. You can have teams doing that. You have many team outings, you have many team-oriented activities. So you can tweak it towards sports. Even so, it's about generating employment in whatever capacity. So once everyone knows that there's a good chance for employment, even if you're a decent sportsmen, that's when the sporting culture really starts developing. See, if you have a school team, that means the school team has to have a good trainer and a coach. That generates two employment opportunities for you. Good trainers, professional trainers, coaches. So that means, it need not be that you have to be an elite player in India. Even if you have played a good level of cricket, you have an employment opportunity somewhere. So that's very important. Sporting culture, in fact, with television, with the exposure through television, actually it should have shot up far more than what it's actually now. In India, again, the emphasis is more on studies and academics than sport. No one can ever see their kid being a professional sportsman when he's no one can visualize that thing for their kid, because for everyone academics comes first. So sporting culture there's still a long way to actually bring in that culture where you're nurtured as a professional.
To sum up, what we've seen from the above is the manner in which these academies are tackling the problems faced by Indian football at a grassroots level. By investing in the game, they make people in the nation aware of the presence of a sport which provides an alternative to cricket. This in the future can only reap dividends for India. This is the end of my 3-episode vidcast, which, to be honest, was a lot of fun making. I do hope you enjoyed it, and I would like to thank you for tuning in to my episodes of On The Ball. Goodbye and take care.